So, let me tell you guys a little story. I was in... Alright. A long time ago, we all know that NECA released two Godzilla figures. Biollante Bile and Hyper Maser Blast. Or I'm assuming that's their official names, because that's what I've been told, that's their official names. Right with me here, I have the NECA 1989 Godzilla. And the variants, like the Hyper Maser Blast and Biollante Bile, only got Target exclusives, and after that they were never released again. So since everywhere Targets were pretty much selling out, I thought that was it. The eBay prices were horrible. They could go eat a pile of dog crud. And I decide, if I can't get my hands on those, I might as well get my hands on another version of the original. This one's the original one I got, like the first one. And I would just repaint them in the same way that the repaints are painted. I go in to grab another, to grab in another 1989, the original, and just when I'm picking it out, I see this. This is the 1989 Biollante Bile repaint. How did they not sell out of this? I have no idea. But you know what? Screw it. I am a happy camper. I am ready for this. Let's go ahead and get this sucker open. Knife, do your thing. Let's kind of, there you go, slice through. Careful with knives, kids. Okay, come on, let's open it up. I'm not opening it all the way? Yeah, I did. So, let's see here. Let's open the flap. Already I'm seeing a bunch of puke. Okay, so here we have the figure. Okay, how does it feel? Much smoother than the original. Okay, so... twist ties. I'll be right back. Okay, so after fidgeting around with it, let's pull the camera back and let's go ahead and take them out. Jeez, NECA Godzillas have always been a pain to open. That's what I never liked. But hey, security, whatnot. Alright, we're getting a smooth rotation. What about out to the side? That is much more fluid than the original. Like, look at the original. Yeah, you hear that? That is stiffness. That is smooth. Also, paint. Honestly, it's new, so... What about the jaw? Getting some opening. I wasn't... I gotta quit bumping the camera stand. I honestly thought there'd be more, puke on his, mouth. Because when he's, like, in the movie, he gets puked on... Okay, that's gonna sound really disgusting out of context, but he gets puked in his mouth as well. Yeah, that sounded really disgusting. But that's actually what happened. Ooh, paint stuck. Oh yeah, I'm seeing some paint stuck in his neck. Kind of see it. But honestly, you know what? I don't care. NECA products, this thing is going to satisfy me. So, I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, how does it look with the original? This one's much more glossy. I like that. But, yeah, that's kind of going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and stick around for the review. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're doing another episode of the Box Showcase. Today, we have another NECA Godzilla figure, and today we're doing the NECA Godzilla vs. Biollante Bile Attack figure. So this is its box, and just to show, this is not the same. This is the movie art. This is like, I think, DVD art? Maybe. But yeah. So for this one, it features the actual props in the film. It features Godzilla illuminating his fins, Biollante about to chomp down on him. Has Godzilla vs. Biollante, different languages. We have what I'm assuming is like a tagline for the film. Something Godzilla and the Toho branding. Actually, let's not open that up yet. So we have kind of the same layout. We have NECA, Godzilla vs. Biollante, warning choking hazards, age 14 and up. Godzilla Celebration 65 years, which is weird because this released the year after, so it would be 66. But we have like a textless version of the same poster. Same thing there. We're actually going to go to this side. Same thing. So on and so forth. Here we have a read-up for the film. Godzilla, emerging from the fiery pit of Mount Hera, Godzilla returns to wreak havoc and more. I'll actually let you guys read that. Just pause if you want. Alright, so we have some more images of the figure. I think the background is like T.O.S.G from the film. And the bottom, not much at the bottom. Kind of get more of that NECA Godzilla stuff. And here we have an image of the figure. Really cool figure, by the way. And here we have Biollante puking across the cover. So when you have the Godzilla inside, covered in it, it kind of looks like he's actually getting puked on, which is really accurate to the movie. So, yeah. That's the NECA Godzilla box. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the channel. Jesus loves you. God bless you all. Go there and spread the gospel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.
If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, shaking the figure as well. With that being said, hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're continuing our journey throughout NECA Godzilla history, with today's review going to be the 1989 Biollante Bile attack variant of the, well, 89 Godzilla. This is one of two of NECA's last figures of Godzilla before they sadly discontinued the line. And basically this is obviously a repaint of the 1989 figure, which we previously took a look at. So I'm going to be a bit more brief when it comes to the actual like sculpt and paint, articulation, and size comparisons and accessories, because for the most part everything's the same. But if you haven't seen that review, I promised in this video I'm going to be as informative as I possibly can. So if you're wondering why he's all covered in this green, almost neon yellow looking acid, well, again, we'll talk about that in just a sec. So for starters, let's take a look at the sculpt and paint for the head. And as you can see, again, why does he have all this yellow green bile on him? Well, in the film he goes against Biollante, a giant plant hybrid mixed in with his DNA and human DNA. But one of Biollante's powers is that she's able to spew this green gunk out of her mouth, and in a way kind of counters Godzilla in a weird way. It's been a while since I watched the film. I just had to rewatch it in general. And Godzilla does get covered in it in this stuff, and this is what the figure is depicting. So essentially he just gets, to put it simply, he gets barfed on by a big plant monster. That's what I tell my family members when they look at this thing and say, why is he covered in yellow stuff? Anyways, for the actual detail, I will say that the detail work is still immaculate. If you've seen the 89 review, you already know that this is my personal favorite of like the original Heisei era of Godzilla suits, and one of my favorite sculpts in the NECA line in general, and that still holds true. The 89, like as far as the yellow bile on the face, we're gonna have it mainly caked on here for like the nostril area as well as the nose. The nostrils themselves actually don't really have a whole lot of them, but we have a bit of like a, I want to say, a dark base, because you can kind of see around here there's a bit of like darker green. If you know the King of the Monsters poster 56 Godzilla, that's kind of what the same color is. Probably not the exact same, but an identical color. And then they have a more of like a lighter green over top, which for its application looks honestly pretty stellar. You're gonna have to forgive all like the fuzz and stuff. I have like pets, so yeah. As you can see as well, for the eyes, the brown makes a return with the black pupils and the slightly more blood red outline for the eyes, which are themselves are more pure white. And unlike the original, these eyes are actually pretty well painted. Well, they were pretty well painted to begin with, but like head on, the other one looked a little goofy. This one actually has some pretty nice paint application. For the mouth, pretty much the same thing, more of like a dark brown, purple tinted-ish, very ish mouth going on here with the tongue and the gums, which are really well detailed, and the double painted, or the double row teeth that are painted and sculpted individually, which are really done really well. For the actual like bile, going back to the bile, we have pretty much all over the cheeks, not around Godzilla's eyelids a bit, because you can kind of see there's a bit of like a gap where there's like the gray charcoal color and the actual bile itself. But on the forehead, and pretty much on the head in general, it is caked in this stuff. Where there's spikes start is where it doesn't really have it, which I guess accuracy be damned, because it was kind of a low lit scene anyway, so you can't really see a whole ton. Then again, the bile does glow. For this side as well, more like that dark green shows up, so you can definitely see that a bit more with like how the streaks go down to the face, and it definitely gives the impression of like this is runny liquid over Godzilla. That's what I do like. It gives the illusion that it is runny liquid. If I did have a bit of a complaint, is that as far as like the neck segments go, it doesn't really blend or mesh well together. Now, what I mean by that is if you look at this side, you can see that it obviously cuts off, but then here it's like super thick. Here it's kind of where it's a bit thinning out, and then here it goes back to thick. So you can kind of see that it's trying a bit to align itself correctly, like thanks to the articulation, but it doesn't really do a great job at that. So that's a bit on the iffy side, but something you're also going to see is it has a bit like speckles of like the dark and light paint of green, and it actually is overshined, overfinished, sealed with a glossy spray. So usually I was kind of like skeptical about them bringing back the glossy paint, but as you can see, like on full display here for the neck, was you can actually see it on the bottom jaw and the neck here, it's actually pretty well done. And given the fact that this Godzilla was wet in the scene, it definitely lends itself to be at least somewhat accurate. The shoulders here have a bit more of the faded kind of color. Like this definitely looks more like a Nickelodeon type green. Like I could literally bring this to the kids awards and say, oh, Godzilla got slimed or something. We have a bit less of the gunk here for the actual arm, right arm, I should say. We have a bit of green here, more yellows-ish, and then we have this long streak of it, more fuzz. And then right here, we obviously have the fingers, which for the claw paint is actually still a little bit basic, but then you got like the greens to really help enhance it, which I do like. Going to the chest itself, which we can see like it's just caked in this, because you can see all like this yellow here, and then it kind of like seeps down to where the green is, and again those like little speckles of yellow make a return, and it looks really nice. This is also kind of what I was talking about here, because spoilers for the articulation, even though it's not really a spoiler, this is like a cut in the joint or in the sculpt for a joint, and you can see that there's like these 3 long pieces of bile that are running down Godzilla here, here, and here. And if you're trying to line it, it doesn't look 100% flush. This part's cut off, and if you try centering this one's also going to get cut off. So it's like, how does it go? So it's a bit more on the like the confusing side. Also, good luck even trying to like align anything here. So nothing really aligns, which I guess would also technically be a problem, because like it's supposed to be like pouring down, because like if they can nail that, surely they could have done there. But again, the detail itself still makes a return. I do like the kind of black spray that they have here for the thighs, but of course the gloss is really what steals the show for this time. And of course the more like the globby stuff, the bile. I don't want to keep saying bile. That just sounds weird. Bile. Anyway, but yeah, the bile, I guess I have to state bile, like all the spray little gunk pieces are on the upper legs, Not so much on the lower legs. We used to get like a little bit, which I guess in hindsight is kind of right, because if you're getting sprayed from up here, some parts are going to hit your lower legs, because that is where it got sprayed in the film. And of course, for the claws on the feet, they look nice too, with a very glossy finish, as you can see here. And for the spines, since I didn't really cover those, the spines are not painted until you get to the neck segment, and from there, much like the original, these things are done beautifully. We do get a bit of like the more bile color here for like a few of the fins, so this one has quite a bit of the bile on this part of the fin, some gray or green hue on this fin, and then some more here and there. And then it just kind of goes with like the glossy nature of the figure. And it just looks, again, the part when it comes to like the little speckles, which is more of like what would hit the back. Because not much of it would have hit the back if Godzilla's getting hit from the front. Which, in hindsight, I feel like this could have been a really cool hybrid. You know what I'm thinking? They could have painted all of this blue and have it like he's just about to fire his atomic breath when he's getting shot. Maybe they couldn't do that because they did have a very tight schedule when it came to the last two figures. Because if I remember correctly, chronologically speaking, these came like right at the end. But having a better look at the segmenting that's done here, you can actually kind of see that the black does make a bit of a return here. And I will say that it's done a little bit better on this one, probably because the gloss does make it a bit more popish, I guess. I don't want to use that word. But if I also have something to say, it does seem like the fading is done a little bit less on the spines compared to the 89 original, so there is that. But I would say just one more look at the foot, just having a bit of a better frontal shot, side shot, back shot. No, not in that sense, you perverts. And this side, below, and above. There you go. Just want to make sure I get everything down to a science. So, like I said, I'm going a little lighter this time, but for the actual repaints, because this is what it is, it's a repaint of the 89 Biollante Bile attack, I will admit that this thing is actually pretty sweet. Do I think that the paint has some problems? Yes. Something I actually forgot to point out is the seal, the glossy seal, does seem to fail in some aspects, because as you can see with the neck, there's a clear cut where it was actually like sealed like incorrectly, and then like once I moved the joint, it kind of broke. So or that's maybe just the plastic rubbing together, and that's just an oversight by NECA. So, but in the sense that this thing was more of a rushed figure, I would still say that NECA did a really good job with this thing. Granted, it's not perfect. I think the alignment of the paint itself doesn't really add up in some aspects, because like the legs especially and the shoulders. But that said, the paint application where there is new paint, it's really good. And I honestly think that NECA did as most as they could given the time frame and circumstances they were in. As for like, if I prefer this over the original as far as the looks department, I'm going to say no, because it's more scene specific, and I definitely think that the more, I guess, traditional Godzilla definitely appeals to me more, but this is still really good on its own. So for the sculpt and paint, because it uses the 89 detail and base paint job plus new paint plus gloss, I'm going to give this thing an 8 out of 10. Very, very good. For the articulation, literally nothing has changed. So for the head, let's actually kind of scroll up here. There you go. For the jaw, we can close up, open about this far. We can do a full 360 degrees at the head. We can look down, we can look up. Pretty much the same movement we can get with the original. The neck on mine is a bit more stiff and definitely does not want to move because something clearly happened, like as far as the joint tolerance is concerned. But we can still look up some, down some, and can rock a bit, so that is good, I guess. The shoulders, there we go. We can go up, down. I would still be cautious about things like paint chippage and sealage because I'm not noticing anything. You can actually see some pixels because it uses like printing paint, which I do find pretty cool. And it can go have a rotation, but again, I'm not going to display it on full force here just because I'm worried about the scuff, because once it's scuffed, and I can't exactly run to Walmart and get a replacement. It's not exactly 2020 anymore. Oh, I think this thing was exclusive to Target. Was it? I can't remember. We have a bend at the elbow, as you can see there, as well as a mild swivel. Again, not wanting to screw up anything. Swivel hinge for the wrist. We can kind of go backwards, several mil forward. So yeah, you can kind of see that the seal definitely kind of gave way a bit. And then we can hinge at the fingers. It's actually like that. Waist can go a full 360 degrees. Plus can actually kind of rock back and forth. Hips can go out to the side, into the side as well. And not a full 360 degrees rotation, but can go pretty far back as far as that cut is concerned. We can get a very stiff, my goodness, hinge at the knee. There you go, very stiff. And a mild rotation, a ball joint here at the foot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 joints. And a not bendy wire there at the tail. And I mean by not bendy wire because they used to say that it was. No, it's not. It's literally just a solid plastic piece. So with that said, as far as the articulation is concerned, you can get a pretty good amount of articulation for this thing. However, there is kind of one problem. You can't really use a lot of it when it comes to like the front of the figure, well, the top half at least. You can use a lot of the tail articulation and maybe to a degree to some of the legs where there is some leg articulation, but because this thing is designed to look like he's being shot from above by the bile, the articulation, as soon as you do stuff like that, it might start looking weird. Because like it starts breaking things and it's kind of meant to be in one specific stance, like maybe like this. Maybe Godzilla's looking down while he's getting like, ugh, stop it. Or he's like literally like looking up like this. It doesn't look 100% coherent as far as the actual articulation would go. And I mean, technically speaking, none of the Godzillas would be 100% coherent because they do break the sculpts. But this one is an special example. So some of the articulation you can't really use, but the articulation itself is still really good. So I'm going to call it an 8 out of 10 for this one. It's not as usable as something like the original, but still pretty damn good. Now, as for accessories, he comes with the exact same beam effect as the original 89 does. And again, I could have the wrong one because they look so friggin' identical. It does look a bit like the 2019 V2, doesn't it? Anyway, it's the exact same stuff. It's a spiral piece of white plastic with painted blue over top, and it's meant to look like the heat ray that he shoots out in the film. And all you do is you're going to see a peg hole in his mouth. You're going to line it like this. Make sure the grooves are facing the bottom. The website or the promotional pictures had it incorrectly placed up like this. That's not the way you want it. You want it facing down like this so it kind of sinks into the teeth. And there you go. You have Godzilla shooting the beam. Now, admittedly, it's cool, I think, and it's, you know, pretty much harmless. It's a very stable beam. You could have this thing displayed on for hours and it won't sag, and it's actually pretty light. So I feel like NECA definitely saw like the issues with the 62 Godzilla having such a big heavyweight beam effect that was made of a more like saggy plastic and a flexible one at that, that would sag down and kind of weigh down the figure itself. This is actually very lightweight and doesn't really sag anything. There you go. Anyway, I'm gonna be honest and say that I feel like the beam was definitely a very cool inclusion from both figures. But that said, could this figure have maybe come with something else? Maybe. Maybe like, and this is gonna be like kind of a weird take, maybe a stabbed hand. Yeah, because in the movie, I think it's his right hand, it actually gets stabbed. So what I feel like they could have done is, and if you've actually seen the Super 7 Toho Ultimates 89, you know exactly what I'm talking about, is that in the film he gets stabbed with one of Biollante's vines. So I feel like maybe having like a stabbed hand could be really cool. But alas, you know, NECA was under very tight schedules for this thing. And, but yeah, it's essentially just this. So I feel like the beam still is about the same. I'm going to say an 8.5 out of 10 just because, like, the beam, it's basically just the same thing as it came before. So, and it serves its purpose. You shoot it out of Godzilla's mouth. There you go. So, for the comparison you guys have probably been waiting for, here he is compared to the 89 standard version. And as you can see, these things are practically night and day. Not literal in the literal sense, but as you can see, they're the same mold. First off, they're the same accessory. But that said, I definitely think that the original is a bit superior than the repaint, and that's mainly because of one thing: presentation. I love how unique this mold is, and I love how unique the paint is. Or, well, not the mold, the paint itself, the actual design and cosmetic of the paint. But that said, it has very limited appeal given of how scene specific it is. So I definitely think when it comes to a Godzilla figure, someone's going to pick this over this because they're going to be like, what the hell is this thing? Versus this one where it's actually more uniform. It actually looks better as far as the actual design of the beam itself, the figure itself goes, being a lot more darkened, a little bit more matte as far as the actual color scheme is concerned, and it just looks more like the standard Godzilla one would think of than this. Not trying to say this is a bad figure, not at all. And for the last bit of a quick comparison, here he is with the other green NECA Godzillas in the collection with, or well, I guess of all time, with the 1956 Raymond Burr Godzilla King of the Monsters poster version and the NECA Loot Crate Reactor Glow Godzilla Glow in the Dark exclusive. And as you can see what I was talking about as far as like the color scheme itself goes, it's kind of clear that these two in some way, shape, or form kind of like wrote off each other as far as like the color scheme itself goes. Because we have some like lighter yellows and darker greens. Maybe not the exact colors, but it's definitely very similar. And for my final thoughts, overall, what do I think of this figure? I think that this figure is actually a really well done version of the 1989 Godzilla. Do I think it's one of my favorites? I would say it's close. It's definitely up there, but it's definitely not like the favorite. The original 89 just has a bit more of, I guess, a better display presence. Even though this one is more eye candy and I love my vibrant colors, I just find myself going back to the original more than its repaint. But that's not to say that this repaint is bad. Its sculpt is really great. Its paint job is really nice as well. The articulation, when you can use it, is very great as well. And its accessory is awesome too. Do I recommend it? Only if you are like very interested in the 89 Godzilla. But then again, this thing is very much out of stock and they don't exactly plan on any reprints anytime soon. So your mileage will definitely vary as far as like availability is concerned, but I would not recommend anywhere over $60 for this guy. If you can find it for a good price, definitely snag it up if you can. That said, it's very scene specific, so I don't know how much people are actually going to like this thing, But with that said, that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. Wait a minute, I forgot my final score. I personally rate this thing a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's not the best of NECA's catalog, but it's definitely up there with some of its greatest, I would say. But that said, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone. I don't know why I did this. Peace out, everyone.